Welcome back to another episode of the Academy of Influence, the podcast that empowers you to find your own voice in this world. On this episode, we have Tim Ramak, an Australian-born health and wellness coach, entrepreneur, and also content creator. We talked about his rich background starting off as a project manager and navigating through different career shifts and how he ended up becoming a content creator currently based in Shenzhen, China. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So welcome, Tim.
Hi, how are we? Long time no see, long time no speak, long time everything. Yeah.
Just to slip in a small background, we were supposed to do this 9 months ago, and we
Yep.
got into some technical difficulty. We decided to reschedule, but we just didn't know that the rescheduling took 9 months. But I guess better late than never.
Better late than never, and I'm pretty sure we've both got additional stuff to add from what we would have.
So, as far as I remember, your name is Tim Ramak, and I actually did ask you specifically how to pronounce your name, Ramak, right?
Yep. Don't worry, there's a million different versions of it, so there's no wrong one.
I had only known you for, say, a few months. And back then, I knew you as Coach Tim. You were a coach, a
Yep.
fitness, wellness coach. You were also getting into content creation. That
Yep.
was 9 months ago. You were recording content mostly on your
9
phone.
months.
You had a series called Destination Shenzhen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I remember from our last failed session. Can you please reintroduce yourself?
Yeah, so as you said, Coach Tim. So Coach Tim sort of stuck. I used to do a lot of coaching in gyms, so people would always come and see me after class saying Coach Tim, Coach Tim, Coach Tim. So everyone just knew me as Coach Tim, so it's just stuck, and I've just used it. So yeah, as you said, I was in health and wellness for about 15 years before I came to China, and then in China now 8 to 9 years. And my company in China is also focused on obviously being a coach, but also products and testing and branding and anything related to health and wellness industry in China as well. So I was very, very much interested in the content, but not creating the content, not really doing too much with the filming side of everything as well. But then obviously when COVID kicked in, everyone was stuck at home. You had to then start getting online, you had to start filming, had to do all that sort of stuff as well. So that's where I started getting more involved in actually how to capture, how to video, how to send stuff to clients, be more engaging, speaking on camera rather than speaking to a live class, such and such. And then that was where we were at basically 9 months ago, where I was sort of taking it to the next step of branching out on my content creation. But now I've actually taken the next step where I've basically stopped the whole coaching side of things for fitness, and I'm now focusing primarily only on content branding, going like content strategies and content creation for branding, and also still the travel. Destination Shenzhen is still there. I'm still creating the odd video and stuff for Shenzhen as well.
So we're definitely going to touch on your content creation journey because that's also something we share in common, and that's how we actually met. Okay, so
Yeah.
before we touch on the content related stuff, uh, I always believe like to know where
Yeah.
someone is going, we also have to know how they got to where they currently are. So you did mention that you were a coach for
Yep.
15 years. So can you
Yep.
also please share how did you end up being a coach and why?
Yep. Okay. Well, that's even going back even further again. So my original career wasn't in fitness. My original career was in project managing. So I was in construction industry in Australia, working on mines, working for steel fabrication in Australia, and that's basically what took me abroad in the first place. I was moved across to the Thailand office to work in the Thai office with the staff there, working in a detailing office. Stuck at a desk, working in an office for 15 years, doing that job, basically posture and not feeling good about yourself. Stress was kicking in, long hours. Got to a point where I said, why am I doing this? I want to do something new. So then basically decided to career change. And then fitness was one of the ones that came to the top of the list. It was a chance for me to fix myself. But I also found that I really enjoyed the whole fitness aspect and communicating and sharing knowledge with people as well. So that sort of transitioned me into fitness. And then fitness was starting, as most people do, started with just being a general gym coach, and then got into postural. So it was more rehab type stuff for myself. Looked at nutrition, looked at functional training, looked at all various aspects of fitness and wellness. So, and that's basically what I'm doing more so in China was doing the coaching was more around the rehab and the functional type coaching, not necessarily just the lose weight and gym coaching. So, but yeah, and then as you said, moving on into the content creation. So creating videos for fitness is a very unique industry, but I think once you get the we can go more a little bit later, but yeah, I think it's all about the niching, all understanding what your goal for your content creation.
Okay, so if I understood correctly, you started your career as a project manager working in an office. And would it be fair to say that you had a
Yep.
180 career
Yep.
shift because of how your body felt being stuck in an office environment. So before you went
Correct. Yep.
into fitness, you had not much professional background or training in that area.
I never went to a gym till I was 30 years old, so I was not really into fitness at all. Wasn't a team sport player or a sport player in school. Went to a gym when I was 30 just because I felt like I should do it. You know, once you hit 30, weight starts to carry differently on you. You feel a little bit different. So getting into the gym. It was around about 30, probably 3 or 4 years later is when I moved abroad and then was looking at gym overseas. But because I went to Thailand, I actually got into Thai boxing. So Thai boxing was
Mhm.
my fitness of choice in Thailand. So and then yeah, basically just built it up from that.
So would you say that if you never had any postural or physical issues working in an office, would you have made this shift?
Hmm. Possibly, probably not as strong as what would have done because it was for myself. I think the physical or the emotional connection of trying to fix myself and improve
Mhm.
myself first was probably the main reason I went with it. I mean, at the time when I did, I mean, I can remember back when I was actually speaking to a career coach at the time, and some of the other choices that came up. One was because I like to travel, so one was also looking in logistics, so looking at either working on a ship, working in airlines, or something like that that allowed me to travel. The fitness came up just because I was actually into fitness doing the Thai boxing. So the career coach at the time says, "Well, had you thought of this one?
Mhm.
You seem to be good at it. You're passionate when you talk about it." Yeah, so there was a few other options, but yeah, I think as you say, I think fitness stuck mainly because yeah, it had an emotional connection or a physical connection of what I wanted to achieve for
So
myself.
the
Yeah.
reason why I was asking this is because right now I'm also a coach, coaching a lot of students to getting their dream school offers and to help them navigate their future paths in life.
Yep.
And one very common theme that I get from the students is that they are very hesitant to make decisions about their future unless they know it's certain. So, for example, because my field is mostly within the orbit of music, so they would ask me like, "Oh, if I go into music, am I
Yep.
guaranteed a career? Would I have a job? How secure would it be?" So my job is to give them that certainty, to help them navigate and give them some industry insights on what areas of the industry could be lucrative or worth pursuing. But I feel like it's the lack of maybe determination or the lack of self empowerment for them
Passion.
to take that leap. So I just want to talk a bit about the idea of career change because you are also in some ways currently in another form of career change.
In another change. In a
And
totally
because
different
for,
role,
for
but
my
yes.
channel, one of my goals is to have positive influence towards all age groups of people, but mainly young people who are maybe lost or they're looking for direction. What would you say about
Yeah, yeah,
this?
yeah. It's good actually. I mean, as you said, the first time I career changed from project manager into fitness, scary as hell. Going from a job, and it wasn't like most people when they career or transition, they go through a stage where they still keep their main job and they'll start to study and test the waters and then move into the next job. I didn't do that. I basically at that time went cold turkey. I went and studied. I went back to Australia for a couple of months. Spent full time into studying all the coaching and stuff like that. So I had a little bit of a buffer and whatnot, but it was basically I had to make this work or I had no income. So I took went all the way in. And it was a scary thing. I mean, project managing job was a really well paid job to go to basically zero income and start again. Yeah, so it was a big jump. But because I had done that before, doing it now is not so scary because I know the feeling. I know that it's all personal. I know that if I put the effort and I do the work, I can achieve the result. So but I can understand, especially for younger people and people that haven't done this
Mhm.
before, the security of a job is the first priority. And then once you've got security, then to say, well, the money's good, it's paying loans, it's doing everything else. I can't leave this job because all of these variables, it can be quite stressful. But personally, I would say if you can sit down and look at the situation and look at the passion, look at what your goal is. If you've not got the love in the job you're in now and you can see where you want to go with this new position or this new career or this new line of journey you want to take, if the passion's there, stick with it, find
That
it.
was actually very good advice. I mean, one thing is there's always the element of risk, and you have to take into account that anything can happen in the future, and you cannot count on the future being steady and unchanged. So, but your point is,
No,
as long as
no.
you have the passion in what you do, you have the belief in yourself that you can navigate and adapt
Yes.
as you move along, then it's usually not a problem.
Yeah. No. I mean, I'd like to add in there too. The other things that I've, especially recently, because looking at helping companies that are looking to sell products overseas, companies that are looking at their particular niche market, looking at industries, what people are buying when people go into product buying, what are people's buying spending habits and things like that as well. So you do a lot of research on people, not only in China but internationally as well. So one thing that sort of I've found, especially having worked in different careers over a long period of time, is that when I first started out having a 9 to 5 job, going to the office every day, working for the
Mm,
holidays, things like that, that was the norm. Whereas now, in this day and age, those jobs aren't such a big priority anymore. A lot of companies don't want
mm,
employees in an office sitting there for 9 to 5 either. They're more inclined to subcontract work out to a smaller entrepreneur or smaller company, digital nomad, whatever it be, to get the job done that needs to be done at that particular time. And they're prepared to pay for it if they know that the value is there
mm,
and the timing suits what they need to get done. So I see, especially going into content creation now, that's why I'm transitioning into that, because it gives me more power to be my own boss, gives me more power to be my own destiny with this job, whether it be in China or abroad. It gives me lots more flexibility on how I can grow with this position and with this job. So that's why I'm focusing on this one in particular. But I think for young people, and I mean, I've got a stepdaughter too, and she's in university now, and I have lots of conversations with her. And she's also like, why was she's in that mindset? It's like she's stressed. Like, if I don't pass this exam, I'm not going to get this result, and I'm not going to get that job, and then I'm not going to get to. So everything's all stacked up. And if one of those bricks falls out, the whole pack, whole stack comes falling down, and she's stressed out by it. And I'm sit with her and I say, well, why are you stressed? You've got plenty of opportunities. You don't think of that as one goal. That's just one small step in your long journey of life that you can try and aim for. But I can guarantee once you get halfway up that step, you're going to say, well, hang on, I like this one now, and you're probably going to change directions. So make sure you keep that in your mind to try and be passionate about your goal, but have some flexibility into where that goal could actually move you to. Yeah.
okay, so why do you think they have that kind
Yeah.
of mindset? So that's one thing I'm curious about as well, because I, like, both of us, we live and work in China, right? And a lot of the kids that I deal with, they're also having the
Yeah.
same issue. So I'm not sure if this is just a coincidence that your stepdaughter has that kind of mindset, and my clients and my students, they have the kind of mindset. So I would like to ask you, like, why do you think that is? Why are they fixated with that kind of idea?
Yeah, I mean, there could be lots of pros. I mean, I've got my own opinions of it, and I think a lot of it comes back to the educational system. And that's not saying the educational system's wrong or flawed, but I think it hasn't caught up with the type of age we are in the industry we are in now, with smaller, entrepreneurial type jobs. Schools and education don't teach people to be an entrepreneur. They don't teach them how to manage themselves as a job. They don't teach them how to able to live in different countries. They just teach them the basics of
Mm,
get yourself a job, get security, be good at what you do, make sure you
mm,
keep progressing yourself up the ladder, and that's what you get to. So it's that whole mindset that the
mm,
education focuses them to think towards. Whereas I think that hopefully it'll catch up, but I'm hoping with obviously with AI and
mm,
ChatGPT and DeepSeek and all these other things coming on them out now, it's going to give students and people more of an opportunity to question themselves easily. They don't have to go to somebody and talk to them. They can throw questions out there into tried and proven situations, which have been all collected
mm.
in the cloud to be able to get better results. So there's, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I have lots of chats with her, and I'm one of these people too. I'm not persuading her to go a certain way. I'm not telling her she
Mhm.
should be an entrepreneur. I'm not telling her she should get a job. I'm just basically making sure that she understands all that's out there, that she has all of the facts available, that she can basically then feel more comfortable making a decision knowing she's got all the facts.
And I
So,
think that actually kind of act like a segue to our topic talking about content, because what you mentioned about a lot of people, when they make decisions, they want to, like, everything hinges on one single decision. If I don't get this right, then I'm screwed, right? Which I think it's also how a lot of content creators think. I have to make that perfect video. So
been there, been
and,
there.
and honestly, I am personally guilty of that as well. I have a lot, what's the term again, analysis paralysis. Like, we spend so much time fixated on how to make that perfect content, thinking that if I could only make it perfect, then it will be the answer to all my subscriber and content creator dream.
Yeah. Make millions and be rich.
So when you started making content, right, how was it? Because for me, my beginnings as a content creator started with gear actually. It wasn't so much the content, the writing or the editing part. For me, it's about gear.
Yep.
Because I was inspired by YouTubers who have really professional looking backgrounds. And when I was doing my research,
Yep.
it always points to technical things like what camera do you use, what lens do you use, what lighting do you use. And it
Yep.
took me like 2 years to
Yep.
get the look that I want before I was comfortable to post my first video. So how was your experience when you first started out?
Yep. I mean, same sort of thing. I mean, I've always been a tech sort of person, but because I didn't go with the camera first, I went with the phone creation first. I think that took a lot of that fear away. I mean, phones these days, no matter whether you've got an iPhone or an Android, they're pretty much camera wise and app wise, they can pretty much do everything you need to get yourself started. So technology wasn't the issue for me, and I was comfortable enough in the filming process, but for me, it was more so being on camera. I think that was the biggest one for me, was like what to say when I get on camera. I had no problem speaking on camera, being a coach and in gyms and stuff, talking in front of groups of people was fine. But getting on the camera for the first time, it didn't feel the same. It just froze up. I never felt what I was saying was right, and I could never work out why that was until one. I mean, obviously, I've done different groups, and you and I met in one of the groups we started doing this, which was learning to speak
Yeah.
on camera, and that's what sort of was designed to help that. But what I think it was, especially in a coaching situation, you're getting instant feedback. So when you speak to someone, you're speaking to a group, whatever else, you're watching body language, you're watching how they do it. Are they actually following commands? So you're getting that instant feedback. But once you get on camera and you're speaking to someone, there's no one. You're speaking to a camera. So you're trying to project or imagine who you're speaking to. Are they going to like what I'm speaking about? Are they going to connect with what I'm going to speak about? So it created this whole issue that I hadn't dealt with before. And it took a while to sort of get past that and just realize that if people don't like what they watch, that's their problem, not mine. I mean, some people will get value, some people won't get value. So that's basically what it got to me, to basically just make the step and just start creating. And the same as you, my first videos were shit, and they're still not perfect. I mean, every day I'm perfecting them, but it's the process. And I think as human beings, if we don't at least make that process of trial and error, we're not going to improve on ourselves. There is no right and wrong. There is no perfect, because as human beings, we're always going to critique ourselves. We're always going to try and do better. We're always going to think something's not right. So that's who we are as humans. We've got to accept that and get past those barriers.
Yeah, but to be honest, even though I'm at my
Mm.
fifth year of making content, uh, I should already be seasoned enough to know that perfection doesn't exist. And sometimes you just need to hit record, hit publish, and to accept the fact that growth is not exponential. And what's funny is, even up till this
Yep.
day, I'm still sometimes paralyzed by that idea of trying to make that perfect video. So, a good example, the last time I did a podcast was 9 months ago. And the reason why it took so long, there's a couple of reasons. One, obviously, I'm lazy. And two, I was trying to perfect some things that I thought I didn't do so well in my past 5 podcast episodes. So, one example is I feel like I'm not a good podcast host yet. You know, I can do video content recording on camera, and that's not a problem because I can stop,
Yep.
record, re-record, and edit the hell out of it. But in a podcast, I have this pressure to make this whole thing perfect. Am I sitting straight? Am I speaking fluently? Having heard what you said, your main focus, because of your background as a coach, your main focus is to connect with people. So your focus is on the audience, which I totally
Yes.
agree. And I think that's something that I and many people should have this mindset shift, is to put your focus on the people instead of yourself. So for example, if someone who is interested to make content came up to you, how would you advise them?
Well, like you said, it depends what the problem is. If they can't speak on camera, find ways to speak. Do you want to be on
Mhm.
camera, or do you want to voice over on the camera to create content? So there's lots of different variables in there, but ultimately, I think everybody's going to find a barrier. They're always going to find something that's going to stop them to make the step. So if you can keep identifying what that is and find solutions to get around that. So for you, for example, it's you don't like these style of videos talking to live, but you prefer recording it yourself. More so, I think, probably because you have more control over the situation. You can script it, you can speak at your own
Sure.
pace. Whereas in a podcast situation, you could get, a question, or you don't know how to carry on with that particular question line of questioning, or what's the next topic, or so. And I think that, for me, that side of it comes down to getting out there and meeting more people. And that's what I try to do, is like, you're always going out to different events, trying to meet different people, and trying to meet new people all the time too. So it creates new conversations. It tests your ability to start a conversation with somebody you've never met before. What's the typical questions? What questions should you avoid? Things like that as well. So, but yeah, there's lots of different barriers. People always find the barriers. I mean, even right now, I'm going through one too, where I've got a new Sony camera that I've been playing with for the last month or so, and trying to get used to that. But now, because of the quality of the video in that, my old computer doesn't cope with this. I've got to look at a new computer. So I'm not creating content because I think I need the new computer before I can create this fantastic content. Whereas, hang on, I was creating content with my phone before, but I've stopped doing that. So I'm even knowing myself now that I need to pull my finger out and just grab my phone out, go out and create some of the content like I did before, while I'm still waiting for a computer and getting all that and learning that process, so that it can keep the whole thing flowing. So we'll find barriers. We'll find different things in different ways, but every single one of those will have a solution if you can narrow it down. But the excuses always come from the weakest point. This is the thing, and no matter what you do, the weakest point will be the one thing that you're not sure of. And most of the time, the stuff that you're anxious about is something that you can fix. It's not something you can't fix. It's something you can fix, but you're just too lazy to do it, or you just haven't got the motivation to do it, or you're too scared to do it. But you are capable of fixing that one weak problem that will get you through the next step.
Do you think this is how successful content creators are made? Because even though they have barriers, they have their own problems, but
Yes,
it's their persistency and their determination to fix their problems and to
definitely,
release content regardless of their flaws is
definitely.
what makes them successful.
Yes. Definitely. And this is one thing that I think this is a positive and a barrier for us as well, especially like you said
Yeah.
before, you were looking at YouTube, you were fascinated by YouTube. Now, a lot of these platforms, when you get on there and you start searching certain things, you're going to get the hottest people on those platforms first. So if you get onto some of these platforms, they're going to populate the high ranking ones first. So these people that have been in the industry for a while are going to pop up first. But if you go to on any one of those and you go back to some of their earlier creations, they're not that good. They've all gone through the same journey, but everybody doesn't see that because they've been pushed to the top of the pole because they've refined, and they've got themselves to a good point. Everybody goes through a point of trial and error, and crap videos or crap this or crap audio, whatever it be. They've got to go through the process and improve it. So, and that's what I've been focusing on now too, especially with me also looking getting into YouTube. Is I've gone back to some of these high ranking creators and go, right, well, I want to go back and see when they started. I want to see some of their first videos. But the trick with some of these guys is they're actually smart because they've recreated a channel. They started a new channel and gone again. So you don't see what their channel was before. So, but yeah, everybody goes through it. Everybody's doing the same thing. It's just me, and this is one thing I want to really focus on myself too, is to make yourself accountable. Because I want to get better at creating videos and I want to get better at speaking on videos, the quality of the videos, the storytelling in the videos. I want to document the process of doing that as well. So then I'm going to use my YouTube channel to document myself improving. What have I used? What equipment am I using? What techniques am I using? What software am I using? And go through what I've learned and document it so that I can then go back and see my own footage in 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it be, and see how it's progressed as well and learn from it. So,
Uh,
yeah.
let's let's talk about your content, which I believe you have two channels right now, right?
It's on daily life in Shenzhen, a lifestyle, travel to whatever it be. It's just some way of me to. That one was created more so just so I could
Mm.
create content on a daily basis because I live in Shenzhen
Okay.
and post it on a channel and just see how it goes.
Okay. Okay, but yeah, because when I saw that channel, the impression it gave me was it's a channel introducing people to Shenzhen, introducing people who might want to consider living, working,
Yeah.
or traveling to Shenzhen, and giving people, I would say, giving
Yes.
foreigners mainly a perspective through your eyes of what Shenzhen is like. Yeah, because like for
Like
example,
living.
I've never been to Shenzhen,
Exactly.
and the only thing I've known about Shenzhen, it's a brick and mortar skyscraper city.
Pretty much. No soul and no culture. But I'm finding culture. It takes a while, but yeah, you've got to really dig in to find the culture. Yeah.
That's what your content is bringing out to the audience. It's showing me the things that it's breaking the stereotype of what the city is like in many people's
Yes.
imagination.
Yeah. I mean, there's still a lot of more content. It's still quite new, but I'm working on it. Like I've got goals to get out there and do more. And I've been looking at different ways to do it as well. Because as you've said before, I'm trying to get away from what mass media promotes to in any country of what a city is all about, and try to tell more of the honest side of being someone who's lived here for 8 or 9 years. What this city's like, what the changes I've seen in this city, what's the good and what's the bad. They all work together. Every city has its goods and bads. So I want people to understand all of those sides of what life's like. So that was one of the reasons why I created the channel. But the channel is also, I'm using it because another friend I've got here, also I think he's Malaysian. He's creating a website called Hey Shenzhen.
Mhm.
So he's got a Facebook group and then a WeChat group for people looking to move to Shenzhen. But he's now in the process of creating a website, and he wants video content to populate the website.
So for this channel, do you have any plans to commercialize it?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Everybody creates content with the goal to monetize. Monetization is the most important part. Um, so I created Destination because it's a fun channel. It's just something for myself. It's a hobby. I get out there, create, practice my skills. I'm creating videos. I can post them on the site. It's not such a big deal on time and efforts and stuff to do that. It may end up monetizing through the Hey Shenzhen if we build the Hey Shenzhen website up enough where people are either maybe coming for tour groups or something like that, or business opportunities with commercial groups coming across to look at business. There's lots of opportunities that can probably commercialize that. The other channel, the Coach Team Creations, is the one I'm putting more of my effort into. That's the one I want to really try and create most of my content, my shorts, my long form videos, really see about how the process of YouTube works.
So Destination Shenzhen is acting more of a bridge to get you to the next step and eventually monetizing content creation.
Yes. Yes, that's been my whole thing. Since we spoke last, I mean, 9 months, I've done so much research when it comes to creating content, but also where it's going to take you. Because I think a lot of people I'm going to create videos, I'm going to make money out of videos, and they think they'll sell the videos. Well, there's lots of different ways you can do it, whether it's through YouTube, and monetization through YouTube itself, whether you're looking at affiliate marketing, you're looking to sell products, courses, you're going to go brand sponsorships and work with companies, lots of different things. But all of that takes time. All of that takes a lot of effort, and depends on what your focus is. What do you want out of it? What do you want out of this job? What do you want to stay doing for the rest of your life, or not necessarily the rest of your life, but what do you want out of this?
What do you think your strategy would be? Are you going to decide on a strategy from the get go and work towards it? Or are you going to be focusing more on the content part and then you let the feedback guide you towards what would work?
And that's what I have been doing. I've been doing the trial and error where you don't niche down, you focus on just creating content for the fun of creating content and see where it takes you. And I've been doing that quite a lot. That's why Destination Shenzhen, creating some of my own stuff, working with newspapers, all different styles. For me now, I'm trying to really sort of focus more on the fact that I'm an expat. I've been living overseas for coming up on 20 years now. I've been in China for like 8 to 9 years. But I want to use that. I want people to understand what it's like to live as an expat and how you can basically not necessarily monetize, but how you can make that sustainable. Like, if you want to live overseas, yes, you might go for a job, but sometimes working as a career in a job is not going to give you the time to explore and travel and do all that sort of stuff. So finding that flexibility for your time is more of a reason to get into content creation or entrepreneurship and understand entrepreneurship so you can travel and move around as well. And that's what I'm focusing on. That's why I want to, like I said before, create my content around the process so people can learn from that. With all the research, as I said, done before, you do have to set up some things from the get-go. You mean, obviously you don't want to put a lot of investment in if you don't have the money to invest in it, but you do need to look at your affiliate links if you can. If you can get some affiliate links, most of the sites are free anyway. So the gear you're using already, throw those affiliates into your description. I've got a couple of brand deals that I'm looking to set up in Shenzhen too, because a lot of gear's made here. So that'll help with some funding and stuff as well for content creation. But yeah, you need to look at all those and make sure they're on your videos from the start, so that if people come back, as I did, and look at some of your earlier content, all of those links are always going to be available to those people, so that potential chances for revenue are available across the board from all the content you create. So that's what I've been sort of focusing on the last few weeks, is really going through all my affiliate channels and looking at what I want to put on there, what I want to align with, and put all that sort of stuff in my descriptions and stuff as well. So working on that, working on the videos, working on brand sponsorships. If you're in it for the love and you've got the time and you don't really care about the investment, yeah, you can create for the love of it. But if you are looking to make it sustainable, you need to look at those quick revenue streams that may not come initially, but you've got to make sure you set up the foundation groundwork. Yeah. So that's, I mean, that's why my channel's Coach Tim Creations too. That was the other one too, was looking at educating, because I'm still a coach. I still want to pass on. I'm not one of these people that always collects information and keeps and said it's mine, it's mine, it's mine. I want to learn this stuff and pass it off as many people as I can, so everyone else can learn from the journey as well. So yeah, that's the other one, is to look at creating an online course or some sort of courses to pass on the journey I've been on. So one is to help people with creating videos. I mean, I've used a smartphone to create videos for the last couple of years, and it's been great. Anybody can do this. So teach people the skills of how to use the phone, how to use the tech, how to use the apps, how to speak on camera, how to tell a story, construct the videos, put it all out there. So,
Do you have a role model when it comes to content creation?
not really, no. It was just something I enjoyed doing for myself. I mean, I look at lots of different videos and I pick up different inspiration on the way. I mean, yourself was one too, because when we first met in the group, you were already creating videos. So I was watching your videos. And even though you didn't tell me until later that you script them and you follow them word for word, I would never have picked it from your videos. So it's things like that. You can watch people's videos and you can be inspired by people's videos, but it comes back to, as I said before, you never really know the full struggle, the full journey, the full package of what it takes that those individual people to create their content. And that's what I think most of us struggle with. We see that polished product and we think, I could never do something like that. But they don't realize that they've all got their own struggles.
Hearing what you have just said about how you plan to monetize your content creation, I think that's giving me an idea that I should probably think about the possibilities and try and work out which one can work for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's one of these things that I struggle with too, because they always say you should niche. I mean, I've done business courses. We've worked both with Dino as well about niching down, niching down, niching down, and I agree with it and I don't agree with it, because I think niching down to a certain extent is great, but once you do that, it limits you, and especially with content creation, it can limit you as well. So even though I'm niching down the fact that I'm an entrepreneur. I'm living overseas. I'm living in China. I'm living in the city that has all the tech come from. I've got a certain amount of niche. I'm not niching down to say I'm only going to talk about cameras. I'm only going to talk about coffee machines or whatever it be. I don't want to niche down to that finer detail, because I think it limits me too much. Now, everybody's got a phone. Everybody's watching videos on phone, on YouTube, whatever it be. Every marketing strategy, every TV show, everything is driven around content. So if you're creating some sort of a story and you're uniform in your story and it provides personal approach to the story, I think you can do well. It'll take time to build it and get your following, but once you stick to your vision and your passion and you stick to your story, anybody can succeed on YouTube or any of these platforms, I believe.
Should we think about what platforms work for our content?
I was posting everywhere before, and I was just seeing. I was always been an organic growth. I don't go and force people to like and force people to follow and all that sort of stuff. I like the organic growth to just see what the watching patterns are like, and then especially most as I've been living in China, most of my content originally has been China based, which has limited me to a certain point, because you post stuff on social media here, but the algorithms, the way the software works is not the same as say Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. So your viewing patterns and your metrics are not the same. So if you only post on the platforms here and then take it to an international platform, you're not going to get the same demographics. You're not going to get that same viewing that you had before. So you do need to then dive into and understand the platform. So you are doing that, you really do need to focus on one or two and say, right, that is my primary platform. Get good at that one, understand one that to the best, and then possibly come on and add on the other channels and stuff as a supplementary to get more viewers on that primary platform.
And why did you decide that YouTube is the best platform for you right now? Is it because it's more international or it's more broad?
There's a few aspects that it is more international. There is a lot more people on it. It's a well-established platform, especially for learning and for long-form content. As a user of the platform too, it's a lot better to save things into different playlists so you can come back and watch them later, or to come back and follow certain things along as well, which a lot of the Chinese ones don't provide that option for me yet. So I like the fact that I can have all that options with it as well. And monetization, I think it's a very clear monetization strategy.
But because nowadays making content is much easier than it was before, there's just endless supply of content. Do you think that's going to affect people like us who are kind of like newcomers into the content creation scene? Would that dilute the exposure towards our content? And How should we think about this?
Possibly, possibly. Again, it depends on your platform. If you're focusing on Chinese media, then or Chinese social media, yes, it could be that way because I don't fully understand how their search engine optimization and everything works, how it pushes certain videos, whether you pay, you don't get any view. I don't understand all that stuff yet. As much as I've tried to understand it, it changes so quickly. It's hard to really grasp how that works. And I've had some videos that have got thousands of views, and some that get basically a handful. And you think they're both the same, so there's no real reason as to why. So as a content creator, it can be very frustrating because you can't learn from that model and replicate it for each video. So you have to. But I always come back to that if you can provide if you're dedicated to being a content creator and you can provide a story and you can provide personalization and value in what you're providing in that video, people are going to find it. If people want that and they're seeking that, they're going to find your video. And that's what I think I work with a lot of people when it comes to talking about content creation initially is don't be scared by all of these barriers of be flooding the market and your voice and the quality of the video and everything else. Is try and come back to make it personal. Find out what it is that you truly want to make this video for and what's that long-term goal for creating these videos. And just keep coming back and reminding yourself that's your goal. You want to share this knowledge. You want to pass it on. You want more people to see it. If it speaks like that all the time consistently, then you'll get your following. It'll happen.
That's very inspiring. Okay, so last question.
Yes,
Do you think
exactly.
success as a content creator is measured by the number of followers, subscribers, or how much money you make, or what's your metric?
I mean, followers has never bothered me. I've never been one that's wanted 1 million followers. Yes, you need a certain amount of views and followers to get monetization, which is the minimum to get started. But I've followed and watched a lot of videos too where people are making over 1 million in revenue and they've only got 100,000 followers or less because they're providing true value in what they do. They've picked a particular a way of creating their videos to solve a certain problem, and people are prepared to pay for that. So, and that's the goal they went into. So that's the type of content they create. They've stuck to their goal. They've created courses around that. They've created content around that. They've created everything based on that result. So they've done well out of it. So again, it comes down to what your goal is. Like I would love to get monetized, but I'm not at this stage creating my content to make millions. I'm creating my content to make a sustainable lifestyle. I want to continue living overseas. I would like to continue traveling to different countries overseas. And if I can find a way to make my content a way of doing that or a medium to do that, then that's what I'm focusing on.
So that, ladies and gentlemen, is Coach Tim's goal and measure of success as a content creator.
Sustainability in life and being happy. Don't burden yourself with the stress of long hours and creating so much stuff. Just enjoy the process.
Thank you so much, Coach Tim. And before we end this, can you please tell us your channels for your content?
Yeah, so most of my channels, whether in China or internationally, are all Coach Tim Creations. So if you look on Instagram, you look on YouTube. I'm trying to avoid Facebook. I just find Facebook is too much work at this stage. And then obviously Xiaohongshu Red Book in China, WeChat in China, things like that as well. So yeah.
Thanks a lot again, Coach Tim, and talk to you soon.